Welcome to The Leaders Who Care, a podcast powered by Dynamis Group. We are here to give the stage and support to those committed to create a positive and lasting impact, way beyond the profits and margins, the leaders of the world who care for others and serve a bigger purpose. Join us on the journey of creating a better, more caring world. And now to your host, Marian Timelkov.
Hello, dear audience. Today we have a very special guest to join us. As you know, we are on a mission to find some of the most caring leaders from every corner of the world that really care for others and to spread and inspire the care culture. Last week we had a joy and honor to host on the podcast Bob Ray, an ambassador and permanent representative of Canada to the United Nations. And this week we continue with another ambassador, this time Zachery Dereniowski, an ambassador of mental health and kindness. Zachery, welcome.
Marian, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on this and to chat more about everything and anything about purpose-driven and mission-driven content.
Well, I'm really excited to have you on, and there's a lot of questions to ask you and share with the audience. But more importantly, how are you today, and how are you feeling? And you mentioned you've been traveling and doing some, hopefully taking some time off as well.
Yeah, I'm doing amazing. It's 8:15 a.m. here in sunny Mexico. I'm here for 2 weeks making content and also finding some time to have some downtime as well. So I'm doing incredible. How are you? I know it's not the morning for you.
Excellent. Look, I mentioned my philosophy. Every day is a great day when you have it. We don't know for how long we're here, but for whatever that time is, we're here to serve and make a difference, and really honored to have you. Just for the audience, as of today, you have made something exceptional. Really honor the work you have done, and because you inspired many people and really made a profound difference. As a result, of course, many people followed you, and you have over 1 million followers on Instagram and YouTube, and over 7 million on TikTok and Act of Kindness and Care. So really inspired by this example, you've been on the interview with a number of various podcasts, medias, news. So Zachery, tell us in your words, what is it that you do for the audience?
That's a tough question. I guess what I try to do is show the beauty and the power of human connection. And there's multiple facets in which I've done that. So it'd probably be easier if I started by, actually, before I go into what I do, I have a challenge for everybody who's listening. The next time somebody asks how you're doing, don't say good or okay, say amazing with high energy, and see how much that can reciprocate over to the other individual. And they pause and hesitate. So I challenge you. Your words are very powerful is what I'm trying to say. So say amazing and see how that goes with the conversation. But in terms of me, the best way to explain is my name's Zach. I'm from Canada originally. I was in college when I was 18 years old. I failed out of college and was kicked out when I was 18 from failing college. And I was just at an all-time low in my life. And it was through that experience that there was two things. I don't know if anyone that's listening can relate, but you've been motivated by, I guess, negative motivation or like fuel from like people doubting you. So I used that plus I've always wanted to help others. And I combined those two facets and thought, what better direction to go when I get back in college than to hopefully pursue medicine. I've always been good at sciences. I've always wanted to help others, and being a college dropout, I thought that was like the ultimate way to like do everything. So that's what I did for the next 6 years. I did everything I could to get back on the right track, make good with my family, and be in a good position to start medical school. And while I was in my undergrad, my college in Canada, I did an exchange program in Australia, in Melbourne. It was a school called Deakin University. And I went there because I've always wanted to visit Australia, and I fell in love with it. So I thought, okay, prove people wrong, help others, Australia, medical school in Australia, be a doctor in Sydney. So I applied to medical school in Australia. I got in and I started January 2020 at the University of Sydney Medical School. And I'm assuming everyone else that listens to this, including yourself, when you say the words or the number 2020, a lot of things come to mind. I feel like that was a time when people either lost themselves, found themselves, or both. And it was during that time I went through a 6-year relationship breakup, which was like, at the time, my identity, my happiness, who I was, I didn't really know who I was outside of it. Working out in sports was like my therapy. And a month after breaking up, I tore my ACL, needed knee surgery, so I couldn't do that. Medical school was challenging. COVID left me trapped on the other side of the world from Canada, Australia, so I couldn't go home, yet also isolated, so I couldn't make new friends or like develop new relationships. So it wasn't one thing, it was just a bunch of things that culminated together to this breaking point. And it was at this breaking point that I remember I was numb, I was unhappy, I was empty, I was lonely. But outside to like school, I was this energetic, extroverted, happy-go-lucky me. And I started to do my rehab for my knee, and I went into the city one day to like walk, run, and I just hysterically broke down crying. I'll never forget this day. And I was in the middle of like the busy street intersection, and these busy businessmen and women were walking past me, and no one recognized, like no one even saw me. And it was when no one saw me that finally, like these blinders that came off me almost, that I probably kept on for 6-7 years. And I said, who am I? Like, what am I doing here? What's my purpose in life? Why am I like not happy? Is happiness even real? Like all these deeper questions that are scary to ask, especially if you've been like pushing them aside for so long. They started to come to the surface. So I finally sought counseling services at medical school. I'm sorry if I'm going on a tangent right now as well. I think this is really
please. This is very important because I think it tells a real story behind what you do and inspiration, and I'd love to hear it, please.
Okay, good. So the one thing I did finally, I was going down this hole and I said, you know what, I'm going to seek counseling services. I'm grateful that I did. And one of the things they taught me to do, because I'm anxious, I get really anxious as well, is to journal my thoughts. So that day I went to like a Walmart or a Target style thing in Australia, and I bought a journal and I wrote down my thoughts. And I did that for like a day or two. And I'm like, you know what? There's got to be somebody else out there who has similar thoughts as me. But more importantly, have had them previously and have like gone through it and like been on the other side and could like give advice. So as a medical student, I thought the most logical thing to do, my next step would be to make a TikTok video, because that seems very logical. And so I did that, and I made a video about like 5 anecdotes of what it felt like currently to be like going through, I guess, depression. And I made the video in hopes that I would have like 20 or 30 views. I would get one person who'd reach out to me or a friend and connect, and then like close that account and then continue on. And I made the video. I went to like my cadaver labs and like carry on my day. And I came back to my computer, my phone later that day, and it had like 500,000 views and like tens of thousands of comments of people from 8 years old to 65, married, divorced, English isn't their first language, like emails, DMs, like everyone sharing their mental health journey. And I was seeing not only that like mental health was universal and it was going on, but like people wanted an outlet to share their vulnerability. So through that video, I obviously at that time, I never created content before. I felt almost obligated to continue to create mental health content because I was seeing that it was helping people. But it was also amazing for me to see that I wasn't alone, social proof that I wasn't alone. So I started creating content with the formula: vulnerability equals relatability equals empowerment. So I noticed when I was being vulnerable, I could relate. And when I can relate, I can empower. So that was the content that I was creating around mental health. And through that time, I connected with one of my good friends who I met through social media. His name is Dr. Jake Goodman. He's a psychiatric resident in Miami. And we created a company called the Mental Health Movement, which was a clothing company, a podcast, and a philanthropy company where we gave thousands of dollars away to high school and college students who struggled with mental health. But like the best part about that mental health movement phase of my life was we built this community where vulnerability and mental health was cool to talk about with strangers that you never know, you never met in your life. And to this day, I've never met Dr. Jake, and I'm meeting him in a few months at his wedding, which is unfathomable to think. So through that experience, I fell in love with the content creation, the community building, and I was still in medical school. And it wasn't until about like 6-8 months of doing this and seeing some, I guess, enjoyment, I won't even say traction, enjoyment of this space, that I said, you know what, I can do medical school. And I was doing it, but I saw the cohorts, or like medical students, or any like postgraduate program, it's like a continuum. There's like, I would pay anything for them to be my doctor. And then there's the end where I would pay anything for them not to be my doctor. And then I was somewhere in the middle, like the ones that were anything would be the doctors, like that was the end all be all. And I feel like if medicine wasn't the end all be all for you, that's not the right field for you. And it wasn't until I was put in that position, in retrospect, maybe I wish I would have learned that earlier, that I took this leap of faith in August of 2021. So I was almost halfway done. And I clicked the withdrawal from my studies, and I moved from Sydney, Australia, back to Windsor, Ontario in Canada, my small town, in my parents' basement, after already failing out of college when I was 18, to now quitting medical school to come home to make TikToks. And that was a really humbling experience too, right? I feel like I didn't know what direction it was going to go, but I felt like there was something there, and I finally found something. I had no idea what it was at the time. So I went home. Fortunately, my parents let me come home and were excited to see me too. I think it had a lot to do with COVID as well, not being able to see their son for 2 years when I could see. So like that card, I think, helped my favor, to be quite honest with you. And 3 days after coming home, I made my first video that I consider like my first real video. And the video was a sign outside of my local mall, and it said, "Your vaccination status won't change how much I love you." And obviously that's slightly controversial if you read it at face value, but if you saw it for what it was about unconditional love and support in a time when, like in September, especially where I'm from, that was like a really big thing. And like those are friends and acquaintances and people that I've known all my life. And within like 12 hours, that video had like 20 million views. And I was like, okay, there's something here. So over the next, I guess now 6 months, maybe almost 7 now, I've created videos about unconditional love and kindness where I've been blindfolded with hugs. I've created videos around experiences where I've taken strangers skydiving, parasailing, people in Mexico that work here on any trip that they want. I've done videos where I've done money give back videos for people where they show kindness and we've reciprocated it like 100-fold. And all these different, I guess, styles of content all fall under the same category.
Just to show the audience, thank you for sharing this. I just we have a video just to show the audience of what does that mean. And if you don't mind, we just want to play it for just like less than a minute. So let me just show the audience what you actually have done in those really few months and now years.
I'm eating here by myself. Is there any chance I could sit here and eat with you?
Sure, you can join.
I'm Zach. What's your name?
You can call me Danny.
Are you from Windsor originally?
I'm back from India.
Are you working or studying?
I'm doing masters in marine engineering. I need to pay my bills and I cannot work more than 20 hours.
Do you take the bus or do you have a car?
Mostly bus.
How long does it take to commute to work?
1.5 hours.
Would a car help?
It would be a great help.
Is there a certain car?
Anything with 4 wheels which can drive me from one place to another place.
I'm actually like really embarrassed, dude. By any chance, can I like borrow like $5?
I can give you maybe $20 if you want.
Are you sure, man?
100%.
The fact that you're gonna give me $20 and you want to save to get a car, I'm gonna bless you with $1,000 right now. This whole thing's been recorded right now too.
This was not the morning I expected.
That's good, man. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to show that to the audience because that explains obviously what you've been doing and bringing joy to people and really taking care. So really great experience, Zachery, and thank you for sharing the story and how you get into what you do.
I want to share one more thing before we go to the next question. So that video specifically, that individual's name was Danny. We raised $1,000 for him to create that video. That video went viral in my city, and a local car dealership reached out to me called Melash Ford. Her name is Lisa, and she owns this car dealership. And she said she was really touched by the video, and she said she is willing to match however much money we can raise to get him a car. So we were able to raise $9,000, and then she matched $9,000. So we raised $18,000 for this individual in like, Danny, in 3 days, and we surprised them with a brand new car. So it wasn't just the video, it was the online donations, it was the random car dealership owner reaching out and putting it all together to show like, I make videos. I'm not like the money and all that. Like that's people, like good strangers. So although there's good strangers in the videos, there's incredible strangers online, and they made that happen. And it's just unfathomable to believe that someone, Danny is one of the most deserving individuals I've met, that all this can come together with the power of the internet. So I just needed to share that as well, that Lisa was incredible to reach out, because it wouldn't have been possible otherwise.
Well, thank you, Lisa, and thank you for all the people around that care, and they may not show it publicly as much or have spread this around, but they're the ones who make a difference every day. People
Absolutely.
that make a difference to the person in the coffee shop, the bread maker, the butcher, really giving a smile, saying that you feel fantastic or awesome, that brings positivity, just all of those little acts of kindness. And your Instagram description says trying to make kindness cool. How do you see your own mission and role as the public figure today, a lot more public figure with the videos you do?
Yeah, I think that goes back to what we said before we started this podcast. We had like a little debrief, and it was talking about the fact that like the videos showcase others' kindness, and obviously then we reward that. But the whole hope is the videos that go viral inspires people I'll never meet to take their own action in their own life. So I've created videos from hugging to flowers to like $1 to a car. So wherever it ranges, if it's a coffee, if it's opening the door, if it's telling someone that their day is amazing, if it's just connecting with someone they haven't connected, if a video can inspire that one thing, then my job is done. And I'll never in my life meet the amount of people that the internet can bring together. So I'm very fortunate to have created stuff that can hopefully bring us together.
You know what is really inspiring, Zachary, that it's not just one-off, because whenever I look at things and behaviors, I look for that consistency. And because when I see inconsistency in behavior, that means there's a journey to go, and it's not just balloon success, it's consistent because it's based on certain principles. And you base your content on a formula that you have created, which you mentioned earlier. And this is a very interested, like you said, vulnerability obviously equals reliability equals empowerment. Tell us about that, and how did you came to that realization?
I never was someone who liked social media. I wouldn't really consume it. I saw it as not just filtered photos, but filtered stories. And it never really resonated or connected. I've always wanted to connect with, I guess, people's adversities or struggles. So when I was in medical school, I connected with a lot of doctors on social media. And they, at that point, were farther down the continuum of like their professional career. And they wanted to share how they failed out of college, or they went through A, B, or C, all these setbacks. But when they're going through those setbacks, or when they're earlier in their career, they're going to be judged. None of them wanted to share it the same. So I thought, why not along this journey share the highs, the lows, the day-to-days, and hope that people can connect to like the realness. And that's kind of the realness of even like the caption, trying to make kindness cool, not making kindness cool, just trying, right? There's realness in behind the word try. So whether it's depression, whether it's, I guess, and a lot of the videos where it shows, I guess, people from lower socioeconomic status, where they're the ones that give kindness. It's not a like a coincidental thing. I've noticed the people who have the least give the most, and you can go into that for days. But just showing and highlighting the vulnerability allows us all to feel connected. And when we feel like connected and we can relate and we can empower, like nobody wants to see like the perfect person. They don't connect with that. They don't want to take action. So, and it's not real. So and it's scary to be vulnerable.
And thank you for sharing, because you're absolutely right. We're all humans. We're not perfect. And sometimes showing off of how great we are often behind that greatness, there's a lot of failures, a lot of vulnerability, a lot of difficult moments that people had to endure. And these are the moments that we're most interested in, often to find out, because that's the real who you are and what you love. And in what would be some of the most common misconceptions about what you do, and what do you wish people to knew or understood about it?
I guess probably the most common misconception is that it's easy to like just put a 40-second video out there and be like, oh, he just did that. It's honestly a whole day thing, from the idea to finding the right person to having the conversation to like editing a video for hours. I guess it's just the amount of time it takes to do this is more work than people think. Other than that, I don't think there's any other misconception around the content that I create or the mission that I have, more importantly. That's pretty much it.
You're a brilliant example of how social media can be used for good. What does it take for the movement of doing kindness to really gain momentum, and what role does care play in it?
What role does what, sorry?
What does role care play in it?
Yeah. Negativity spreads on the news, on social media, very fast. But I believe when there's authentic kindness and, like I said, vulnerability, that kindness is just as, if not more, contagious and something that shines a different light and hopefully inspires others to do the same, and to just pause and see it from a different point of view. 6 months ago when I started this, I just didn't like the way social media was done. And I've seen a lot of other, I guess, creators now coming out and creating similar style of content of kindness. And people are like, oh, he copied. You don't copy kindness. And there's there's billions of people in the world. We need so much more. So like, I want it to be a trend. I want it to be cool. I want it to be something that people do on and off. Like I get all the time people sending me videos of like, they don't post them, but they like created it the moment and they send it to me, or I get hundreds of emails a day of just like people saying what they've done in their own lives, and just knowing that much has been like sent to me, I can't even imagine. So kindness is contagious. And I've also noticed when you take that first step to make that change, although you think that change is small, you have no idea the impact that can actually have. One of my dad's favorite quotes are that stick to me: people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And it's not what you say, it's about your actions. And it's also about how willing you are to listen to others. So like what I say right now really means not as much as what I like when you showed the video, the action of doing something, or me being able to listen, like you're doing incredibly well right now. I feel so weird. I usually it's the other way. I don't usually talk this much. So
no, but I'm really low. I'm so interested in really sharing this insight, because what we're doing here is not just for sharing now with the audience, but also for hopefully this can be used for future generations and inspire more of this act of kindness. And I love what you just said. Kindness is contagious. And what have been one of your favorite moments or highlights for your act of kindness? Do you have any stories to share that created exceptional memories?
There's hundreds, to be honest with you, but there's one that sticks out the most because it was probably one of the first ones in which I really noticed that like the people who have the least give the most. And it was right after I did the vaccination status videos. I went with a poster sign and it said, "Who do you wish you were with right now?" And it was outside like my local pizza shop downtown in the middle of the morning, normal day. "Who do you wish you're with right now?" And this guy comes up to me and he blurts out, "My ex." I said, "What happened?" He said, "She cheated on me." I said, "How are you now?" He said, "Homeless." I said, "How come?" And he looked at me and he said, "She had 2 kids and I didn't want them to be on the street. So I gave them the house because I didn't want them to go through that." And it just blew my mind that someone who had literally nothing was willing to give everything. And it wasn't even that. It was also 30 seconds before that. I was like, hold up. This guy I saw him before we started filming across the street. and I saw him putting change into another homeless man's cup. So I was like, I thought about it. I was like, I asked him. I said, dude, you said you're homeless, but I just saw you across the street putting change into another homeless man's cup. Why did you do that? He said, it's my birthday in a few days. I had a few extra bucks. I said, how old do you turn? He's like 32. I said, happy birthday. And like, I asked him if we could record that. We raised like lots of money. He got off the streets, and or I think like $11,000, and like the money, and we got him back into like a regular position. He has a job and a house. But the idea that he had nothing, he gave everything, didn't hesitate to put change into another guy's cup. This wasn't on camera. This was, I don't have it documented, but like, it blew my mind away. It had nothing to do with really the video either. It was just the moment. And yeah, that was probably one of the crazier experiences, especially starting off, because I wasn't really accustomed to seeing how giving people with less truly are.
What a story, Zachary. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. And 32 years old man, and having that really acts of kindness. And is there any other stories that you want to share? Because these are really, people relate to stories. And they're
Sure.
really great example.
I was in San Diego in February, at the end of February, and the goal was to give back $500 to some random stranger to reward their kindness. So I was walking down the street. I wasn't going to ask this gentleman, but he seemed to be homeless. He was with a shopping cart. He was 69 years old. His name was Stoney. And I said, excuse me, sir, do you have a few dollars so I can catch the train back home to Canada? I forgot my wallet. He looked at me. He's like, I got a $10 bill. I said, can I have 5? He said, no, I need to eat. I said, okay, can I just have like $2? I'm a couple bucks short for the train, the total. He's like, he paused, he thought about it, and he said, okay. So he only had $10. We said, okay. He wasn't going to say yes to 5 because he needed to eat. He doesn't get paid till tomorrow, but he said, okay to $2. And then it was this moment that just blew me away. He just paused, he looked down, he reached his sock. He went into his sock. I'm like, if he pulls out the money from his sock right now, I don't even know. In the moments, I don't know how to process these things. So he pulled out a wrinkly rolled $10 bill out of his right sock. He unfolded it. He looked at me, and he gave me the $10 to give him the change back. And I ended up giving him like the $500 American. And he was just beyond grateful for that. It had no idea that was coming. But he had $10. He was willing to give me 20% of his net worth to a stranger on the street who's 28, looking like not homeless, but just normal looking guy needing money. Didn't hesitate. I said, why'd you do it? Like, why'd you say yes? He said, because you needed it. That's the only thing. He didn't even hesitate, because you needed it. And through that, we raised them $38,000 in like less than a week. We got him into an apartment. He's on an allowance now where he has money, and he's set for like the next year or so through that video. But the idea that he set boundaries, yet was willing still to accommodate and give 20% of his worth, it just blows my mind away. That was one of the more powerful ones as well.
Wow. Well, thank you. I often, when we think of making an impact, we imagine we have to do something big. But what about the small acts of kindness, Zachary? And can you give some examples of what could be done on a daily basis to brighten up someone's day?
Yeah. And that goes, I don't think a hug or a flower is any more meaningful than the $40,000. It depends on what the transaction means to that individual at that time, what the need is. So when I first started creating videos, I only started like I said, vulnerability, relatability, empowerment. I only started creating videos because I knew what it felt like to feel empty, numb, and alone. I didn't want other people to feel the same. And I went through like the mental health stuff. And before that, I believed in it. I just never thought it'd impact me. So I saw how universally invisible it was. So I just didn't want like my younger self to feel like there wasn't someone out there that cared, online or in person. So the hugging videos, the blindfolded hugging videos, I love those. Those are probably the most scary to create. So I'll have a blindfold around and I'll have a sign that says, if you're struggling with like anxiety or depression, take a flower and hug me. Or if you don't feel good enough, take a flower and hug me. Or some quote, take a flower and hug me. And one of the more, I guess there's two, if I can share two of the hugging stories, if that's okay.
Sure.
The
Please.
first video I created back home of the hugging video, this girl came up to me and as she hugged me, she just said, sorry. And I said, why are you sorry? And she said, she was hugging me. Well, I said, why are you sorry? And it was probably like 8 or 10 seconds. She didn't say anything. And I just told her, like, whatever you're going through right now, I'm thinking of you. I forget what I said in the moment, because in the moment it's so much different. And she never said what she was going through, but it was just felt. That was really powerful. I wish there was sometimes some of those hugging videos, the storyline isn't as specific as the first guy said with the X or the money with Stoney, because it's not what they say, it's just how they say certain things or the mannerisms in which they hug or how long they hug for or what the sign says. And then the second one was probably like my biggest video to date, and it wasn't even supposed to be documented. We were finishing up the video of saying, if you don't feel good enough, take a flower and hug me. And I was closing up the sign, and like I took my blindfold off, and this mom just came up to me. She just came up to me, and she had like this, I guess, I don't know, some tone in her voice, and she just said, thank you so much for hugging my daughter earlier today. She's been going through depression, and you don't know how much she needed it. And I just like threw the sign and hugged her. And it was just the idea of family cares, or strangers can care, and just the universal thing of like, I remember specifically hugging the daughter because she gave specifics about what she was saying. And at the time when she hugged me, the daughter, I thought she was honestly just hugging me because she just wanted to hug. You have no idea of the details sometimes of what people are going through. You actually never do. So through, I guess, the blindfolded hugging videos or stories, it's the message is to be kind, because the person who's smiling or looks the happiest could be going through the most. And that you telling them that, asking them how their day is, or opening the door, paying for their coffee, cannot just make or break their day. It can honestly make or break their life. And there's so much power in your actions, whether they're small or big. Your small actions are actually bigger than your big actions. And especially to strangers or to people that you really owe nothing to, because those are the most real interactions that you have on a day-to-day. So that's the
Zachary, I love so much. Probably my favorite of your videos and acts of kindness. I love them all, but the hugging ones are really special for me personally, because there is a connection. Really, when you hug someone, there's energy, and it's different, and there's a reason for that, because as human beings, we're created to back from tribal times, that we survived together. In somebody who will sleep or watch out for the danger, the tigers, the animals. So that really being together is important, and having that trust that we can sleep while somebody's watching your back, because you could get eaten. That level of trust, and having that togetherness, is expressed through the connection, the huggings. And science and research has found that we need every day between 8 and 12 hugs a day to thrive as people. So I'm sharing that, just to say, but the more you hug someone, the more alive you become. Of course, as long as it's genuine. And some cultures have that, when they hug or do a kiss on a cheek. And that really makes a difference, because it's connection. You touch someone, the skin, the body, and the hug itself creates that connection that you cannot express sometimes with words. So please keep doing that. I think you got your more than eight hugs a day, I think, on that one. So just want to encourage. There's other reasons that you could also, while you're helping and hugging others, you really can make a difference for you personally and everyone else around you.
Absolutely.
I really love that. And look, when you approach people, you come to them with sincerity and you make it personal, but ask them what their name is and how they're doing. Did it come natural to you?
Yeah.
When you start doing that?
I still get like sweaty palms every single time I have like a social interaction with a stranger. Like right now, I'm nervous talking to you, but yeah, in terms of speaking, I guess it was natural. I've always liked interacting with people, just not so much approaching strangers. That's been like the harder thing.
That's what I say. Many people find it hard to approach a stranger. And how did you master the craft of approaching strangers, so to say? Have you, because as you said, you have that normal human reaction and feeling. It's that
I haven't mastered it. A lot of the videos I have posted, I have stutter or I repeat the same word. It's just not like that's the vulnerability of it, right? Of approaching a stranger. So I have no tips than either. One of my bigger inspirations is a team on YouTube called Yes Theory, and their motto or mission is seek discomfort. So every day I try to do one thing outside of my comfort zone. And how do I define that? By like, as long as my hands have like got a little bit of a sweat to it and I've noticed it, acknowledged it, then I've done that one thing that day. So you don't get better at it. You just become more accustomed to being outside that bubble that you've created.
I love that too, because I also really, my philosophy in life very much follows this principle of inconveniencing yourself every day brings you long convenience for the rest of your life. So you got to get out of your zone of comfort. Sometimes I do cold showers, if not every day. But beyond that, you could do things that challenge you, that inconvenience you, and doing that, and really, I highly advise and recommend people to. I haven't thought about what you said, getting your hands sweat and feeling feeling that to me is a new level for sure. I'd love to see how it works for me, but it's a great approach. And in one of as in one of your Instagram comments, you was mentioned, you say "I love you" to the people that take care of, but still they're strangers to you. Tell me about why those words, and why does it matter?
Probably said those words because for like 2 years when I was overseas, no one said them to my face. And I used to get "I love you" all the time, every day, from my family or friends back home, or took it for granted. Didn't know I took it for granted. And a hug or "I love you" would have meant like the world for me back then. A lot of the stuff that I do is the little things like that, "I love you," that you noticed, is rooted in things that I learned over those 2 years. And I think the biggest thing for people who are listening is like your biggest pitfalls or like losses or things that you're ashamed of are actually your biggest like lessons in which you're able to then use as a tool to inspire and empower others, which goes back to the formula. So the "I love you" is rooted in that. And also in the internet world, people can hate everything without knowing someone, right? And hate this, hate that, hate this. So how different is it to do the opposite? To say "I love you" or "I love this." Like, so, and oftentimes if you've seen the videos too, it's immediately reciprocated by the stranger with a smile, sort of like saying "I'm amazing." Like, people don't even realize how much those 3 words can mean, especially to people who haven't heard them in a long time. And I've heard a lot of stories, people sharing that way more than what I've been through. So yeah, that's why.
I just want to share something here, because you touched on a string, and I'm grateful really for even being here today, and having that mental capacity and health and well-being to have this conversation with you. And hopefully share and inspire others with what we do here. But when I look really on what you just said of inspiring and sharing those words to others, it's really very important when you actually go and pay that attention or say something to someone that could mean you save their life. You don't know if somebody is considering ending their life, or you don't know what they're thinking of doing right now. That moment could make a difference, could really save them. And what you just said about the words is very powerful, Zachary, because that goes back in scripture. And personally, I'm grateful to God, and it's not my glory for the success, it's His. Because of Him, I've been able to go through very difficult moments and challenges. But what you just said, speaking positivity, speaking love, speaking good words, is one of the keys to a long life and prosperous life. That's one of the key areas. And you can speak your life to victory and greatness through words. And by sharing with others, inspiring others. So there is so much value in what words you say. Often people will say, I don't care. They would say, I hate. They use such a kind of negative connotation and words that they, without realizing, or singing songs that use those words, they're singing that themselves to the energy of the song and depression. So the words are exceptionally important. And if you speak those words of more, as you said, of helping, of encouragement, inspiration, love, care, more of that is coming. And that's the key for a long life and longevity. So thank you for really inspiring that.
I didn't even know that, but that makes a lot of sense. I try
That
to.
is the key.
Yeah, that's huge. Thank you.
And that's not coming from us. That's a revelation. It's one of the keys, and happy to share many
Can I
more
ask,
when we get to meet each other.
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I'm not someone who is very religious or strong with my faith. I'm trying to find my faith. I mean, this may be a little off tangent, but when I have these really deep conversations of people who have gone through these mental health struggles or these epiphanies, of people who have the least give the most, I always ask them why, like even off camera. And one of the biggest things they fall back on is faith in religion, like these like deeper, bigger fulfillment like moves that they've made in their lives. And I want to ask you, why is that? Why is there that overlap, or how can I find my faith? I don't even know where I'm going with this question, but I've just noticed that
No,
I never really touched it.
thank you for asking that question. And look, I'm not religious either as well, and I'm very much I focus on the truth, on the words of life and meaning. So for me, I looked at many different philosophies, religion. I'm very inspired to look at people's background, success, and differences, and I will share what it means for you. And you asked me that question because success or exceptional, victorious greatness leaves clues. Success leaves clues. So you could look at and that's, to me, I'm like a scientist. I'm very curious and interested to research that and find. And I looked at some of the greatest in business, in different, in religion and so forth. And what for me was really because it's not easy to go and read a certain book, or let's say the Bible in this case. You won't understand it. It's difficult often if you haven't got a clue. You need somebody to explain and reveal what it is in there, if you were to do that. And in my most difficult moments, when we go through that very difficult crisis, like we all have, it wasn't one thing. Everything was coming down, like what you described, from business, from family perspective, from relationships. And I know deep down in my heart, I wanted to do something good and make a difference, and that was there. But the way you communicate, the way you execute certain things was not the right way. So you start to see the inconsistencies. And who was there for me was my mom and dad couldn't help me. Some of my closest people couldn't help me. The only one I could help me is in turn and learn was God and understanding some of the principles and help me out. But you need someone to explain certain revelations so you understand and having that relationship. And I haven't found anyone that it's one thing is if you're willing to give up your life for people you love, but I haven't found anyone that is willing to give up their life for people that they hate him or her. That's very powerful. And you say, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing. And that's for me, I look at, like you said, I look at the actions, the acts, because for me, I recognize very easily, you recognize them by their fruits. A bad tree cannot give good fruits, and a good tree cannot give bad fruits. So you see those things. And for me, when I looked at, for me personally, when I honor and all the glories to God, and particularly when Jesus came on this planet to help and save others. Of course, people didn't like, a lot of them didn't like that because that disrupts a certain ways of doing things. But if you look at deep down, the actions will speak about he came to heal the sick. He came to help others. And when, of course, they've chosen a thief over Jesus. And they said, well, we'll choose a thief because we know about him, but we don't know about this guy. So, you know what? We're going to crucify him. Okay. And he said, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. So these are the acts of kindness and a real care and inspiration that I'm looking at, because he came and gave up his life for the well-being and goodness of people. And to today's day, that's why it's so powerful and it makes a difference, because there's certain keys and revelations when you understand and study, you will live victorious life. You will live a life that is full of passion, a life of progress, a life of inspiration, of life of making a difference. The problem is you have it all because you're here to serve, and as long as you recognize it's not your glory, because God can use anyone. We're not nothing without. I'm no one without His blessing. So that's what it, for me, was personal experience, but my own journey of finding who I am, who am I, what am I here for, and looking at those examples of really who did what, looking at deep down in history, and to today day I continue. Of course, there's many other great people that inspire me, and if you look in more recent times, nowhere near, of course, we're comparing, but since last week we had Ambassador Ray, and he said something as well. In politics, some of the greatest leaders of modern times that really inspired is Nelson Mandela. He spent 30 years of his life in prison, and when he came out, what did he do? He didn't prosecute the people who put him there. He said, let's unite, let's work together, brought peace. These are the kind of things that I look for, and that's why it's so important for me of these great examples. Hopefully that answers your questions, Zachery. I'll be happy to go in much deeper in some of those topics.
No, that answers my question really well, and that's so powerful. Obviously, the Nelson Mandela story too.
You know, when he was in prison, they kept changing the guards because they're liking him every 3 months.
I didn't know that.
They like him so much, they want to set him free. It just shows, because what I'm saying is, when you understand some of those principles, really make a difference. And that's why you have it in you, because you've got something powerful. And that's the blessing. That's you really going and serving. And I have no doubt you do great things. And since we talked about this was one of the keys for longevity, another key, just to share to you, there's many others, but I'll share two today. The second key to long life and longevity is honor your mom and dad. Honor your mom and dad. Do not forget that. And the opposite, if you want short life, dishonor them. That is the kind of principles and laws. Well, look, we're happy to continue and really, really, enjoy the conversation. Thank you for asking me this question as well. I didn't anticipate sharing any of that. But talk to me about Now, just talking about mental health, and what do you see as your mission when it comes down to supporting yourself and others on the path of improving their mental health, and how can we people better support each other?
Yeah, I think that falls back on what we said already with the blindfolded hugging of the idea of you never know what people are going through. And the videos, sort of like making kindness cool. I've wanted before kindness, it was make emotions and feelings cool. And that is stemmed through the videos. But I feel like from like a person to person standpoint, we can all do that through the small interactions, like we said. And it's really challenging. I always fall back on my personal experience. The hardest thing for someone who's maybe going through something is to speak up about it. You don't know where to start. You don't know how much to share. So my biggest piece of advice is just to say something. You don't need to say everything. And the first person you speak to may not be the person that you connect with or want to speak to the most about it. It could be a professor. It could be someone in your life. Like, it doesn't need to be the closest person. It just feel someone you can confide in. And from the other side, if you're someone who's having someone reach out to you that you're close with, ask them, do you want me to listen to give you advice, or do you want me to listen to just listen? Because those are two different types of listening. Oftentimes we hear someone's issues or problems or concerns and we want to immediately fix it. The hugging videos, if you go watch them, I never give advice. I just ask questions because that's not really my place at that point as a stranger. And you'd be surprised at how letting someone speak can really help them with just not suppressing it and internalizing it anymore and getting to a pent up position, and then having the, I guess, the comfort or the confidence to then take action in whatever direction that is. And mental health affects everyone, from people making 8 figures to the homeless person on the street to someone who's overweight or in perfect shape or a perfect job or just fired or married, or like everyone and anyone. The situation doesn't hold any discrimination.
And really, thank you for sharing that. And one of the key aspects I find for mental health personally is relationships, understanding relationships. And really, for me, since I had a privilege and blessing to talk to some of the most exceptional leaders of the world, and some of them are really earning or leading multi-billion companies, is when you talk about relationships, I see it in 4 categories. And it's not just that you need all those four categories alone. For example, we all need divine connectors, people that will connect you to others' opportunities that are important to you. Who are your people of influence, political, social, economical, people at the highest level that can make a difference and open doors? Third category of people is we need exceptionally gifted, talented people around you, where when you say one thing, they do it, and they do it with ease. That makes your life enjoyable. You would not only achieve what you want, but you also enjoy the journey. And the fourth category of people that is exceptionally difficult to find, and it's people that are better than gold, that will be with you no matter what. Even if they caught you doing something wrong, they'll come and say, I endorse this man, because I know this may have been wrong, but we'll come back, we'll do this. How can I help you? What are and if you have 10 of those people in your lifetime, you're the luckiest person of your generation. But it's not that you need all of those people. It's who are you, in which category for the people around you is the question. And that will enable you to attract all of those in your life when you start being one of them.
That's the key right there. How can I serve versus how can I get more of those people?
Yes.
And the attraction is everything. Because I think that when you were sharing that, people who are listening are like, all right, Marion, how do I find more of those people? That's just like your immediate thought, but that's the wrong philosophy.
You know what? I call those people destiny helpers. Destiny helpers will come when you become a destiny helper to others. And that's what's important. And that's why I love so much your work. It's not random. Zachery, who's got your back? A lot of people just see you in the front, but tell us about your team, and we also want to recognize them and thank them really for leading with care. How do they support you in the pursuit of spreading kindness and producing so much high quality and high impact content?
I have a pretty small group right now. I don't have the 10 people, but I feel like my parents, going back to honoring those, and also the fourth group of people that you spoke on, they have my back no matter what, the highs, the lows. So my mom and my dad, probably my biggest, I guess, supporters and the happiness of my journey as opposed to where I'm at. My next thing would have to be my videographer. So the guy that does the videos for me, his name's Patrick. He's one of my best friends. And when we were doing, I guess, more of the heavy mental health videos, a lot of stories I didn't share, just like we internalized that. So we had day-to-day conversations, hour-to-hour conversations about any of the stuff that was kind of like lingering. So not letting things build. So he's awesome in my life for that. And then the team that I think you guys got in contact with, that's like the agency, in which like helps keep me organized and scheduled and structured, and being able to have these incredible opportunities to speak on this podcast. That's pretty much it. There's things I do outside, but those are like the people that keep me the most connected, or not even stable, but like at a good steady state. I'm not using the right word here, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. Those are my people.
I love your humility, and I love, first of all, what is the name of your mom and dad and the agency that you mentioned?
Yeah.
Because
So
I want to honor them.
Yeah, Michelle, she was a grade 5, 6 teacher. She just recently retired. And my dad's Glenn. He barely finished high school, and he owns a window and door company. He's worked for like 35 years, from like, he gets up at 4 a.m. He goes to bed at like 10 p.m. every single day. And he's the epitome of what you spoke on, of never says anything negative. He could have had the worst day at work, and he'll come home still positive, still happy, served everything for my family. So he's probably my biggest inspiration as well. And then the name of the agency that I work with is called OneFluent. And specifically, I work with a girl, a female named Brooklyn, on a day-to-day basis. So I couldn't be more thankful for people in my life that allowed this to happen.
Michelle and Glenn Dereniowski, thank you so much for raising such a wonderful son.
Thank you so much.
It's such a great thing. OneFluent agency in Berkeley, thank you so much for supporting. Patrick, thank you for your really support in the day-to-day work, because there's a lot of production to be done. So we honor all the work you guys do. And I just wanted to, if you don't mind, I want to read a few statements from people that really felt and that made a difference. So
Sure.
I will try to be a fluent reader, and just bear with me. I'd love to really share this, because that's very powerful, and I want to share what does it mean to really care in the act of kindness. I will not share who they're coming from, but these are all taken from people you've touched. So,
Okay.
Zachery, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Ready. I love this. People caring and showing love to others is what we are called to do. You're one dope human, and everybody on your team is as well. I love what you do. We need kindness more than ever. Come on, man, make a grown man cry. Thank you for everything you do, brother. Just watching your videos makes me want to do better, to be a better person. What a powerful one.
I love
You
that
inspire me, and I will help people just like you do. Amazing. We love you for spreading kindness and love. For real, man. Your videos are powerful, emotional, and so kind. Keep spreading kindness. I'm following your lead. Your content makes me want to be a better person each day. To anyone who watches this and thinks, You should do good deeds without advertising it. Normally, I would agree, but this guy uses views to help the people even more. I desperately want to start doing things like this. If there were more people like you, Zach, this will be a better place. God bless you for all you do. I absolutely love the fact that you tell everyone you love them. Some people probably have never heard that from someone, or it's been a long time. I get such a lump in my throat watching these. I don't know how your little body carries your big heart around. I love seeing your post. I wish I could meet you, Zach. You are such a nice and kind person. God bless you. There is not a single video I don't end up crying, dude. What you and the team do is awesome. This should be the only purpose of social media. Yes, I love everything you represent. Thank you for sharing these moments. Oh, Zachary, I wish we could all give you a hug for being so amazing. You have no idea how videos like this make me want to be a better person. I have actually started being more generous to people, tipping bigger and handing out money to people who appear to be in need of it. Your videos are some of the brightest social media has to offer. Thank you. Zachary, thank you so much. And from the bottom of my heart, I bless you and God to give you guidance and keep spreading and power to keep spreading this kindness every single day until your last breath. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much for having me and sharing those kind words and your wisdom today too. So Marion, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Zachary. I'm looking forward to meet you in person and you're invited.
Likewise. Hopefully I'll see you this summer.
Thank you so much, Zachary.